time.
7:02, I'd like to call to order the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for the Village of Bartlett, Counties of Cook, DuPage, and Kane. Please call the roll.
Michelle Sarwaz.
Here.
Charlie DeVoe. George Koziel. Bob Bacaro.
Here.
John Miasco.
Here.
Julie Kapadukakis.
Here.
Amy McSwain.
Here.
Mike Weirden.
Here. You have before you the May 1st meeting minutes. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Bob, seconded by Amy. Please call the roll.
Michelle Sarwaz.
Abstain.
Bob Bacaro.
Yes.
John Miasco.
Yes.
Julie Kapadukakis.
Yes.
Amy McSwain.
Yes.
Mike Weirden.
Yes. Okay. Next is the public forum. Does anybody have anything to address to this board that is not on tonight's agenda? Okay, then we shall move on. First case is number 2505, Nova 2, northwest corner of Miles Parkway and West Bartlett Road. Are the petitioners present? We are. Please step up to the microphone so that I can swear you in. Anybody that's going to speak tonight for either of these two petitions, please fill out a form that's in the back so that I don't have to swear you in. And give it to Christy? Yeah. Okay, or Kim. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm that the evidence you're about to give is only the whole truth? I do. Okay, please give your name and address for the record. It can be your business address.
Sure. Dean Kelly, 2250 South Wind Boulevard, Bartlett, Illinois, 60103.
Pablo Veda, 484 Miles Parkway, Bartlett, Illinois, 60103.
Okay, go ahead and present your case.
Sure. So this is Blue Heron Business Park. You can see on the location map. It's located at the northwest corner of Miles Parkway and West Bartlett. The petitioner is requesting to change the development designation of the subject property in the PUD from Development Area 4, which is commercial, to Development Area 3 to allow for the office warehouse with tire services and distribution. This is the site plan. On the north end, you have the truck servicing, and on the south end of the building, you have the tire distribution. These are the elevations. And then we have the landscape plan on the north side, and then this is the landscape plan along West Bartlett Road. So this southern end here would meet the West Bartlett corridor plan for the western gateway.
So the access will only be on Miles Parkway?
Correct.
All right. Oh, do we have the exhibits?
Yes, we do.
There's the mailings and the sign.
Yes.
Okay, mark those exhibits A, B, and C. Did you get any calls or anything on this petition?
We had one call from a business owner in the business park, just out of curiosity of the sign. No comment otherwise.
Okay. Any word from the petitioner?
Sure. This is the last lot in Blue Heron, and we just did, the previous development is right across the street to the east, Allen Horticulture, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and that building is up and looks great, I think. This building is right next to it. Do you have a colored rendering that you can show? I think if that was part of the packet or not, but it's okay. Very nice looking building, precast. It'll look very similar and complementary to the one at the other side on the east side of Miles Parkway. This is the second building that Pablo is going to do in Blue Heron. He has a facility at the far northwest corner that was constructed a couple of years ago, and if you have any questions about his operations, he's here to answer those. And obviously, we're asking for a rezoning. It's been asked before if you had any commercial activity, and we have not. And that was also the case when we rezoned the portion of Allen Horticulture. And we have brokers that are marketing that. It's just, it isn't a retail site, and obviously this makes it 100% industrial park. So I think those are the reasons for our request in rezoning, and we think it's a very good use. It'll be a nice completion to the park.
Was that part of the problem and delays or holdback maybe because of the way it was zoned and we couldn't get anything in there before?
I would say because Kane County will not allow direct access to West Bartlett Road from this lot, that it made it less desirable for commercial or retail uses.
Makes sense, because it could be a problem at the intersection. Any questions from anyone on the board?
I do have a question on the truck access. I understand the ones going to the service bays, the 3 lanes, come right in off of Miles on the right of the diagram. Supply trucks that's servicing the rest of the building would come in from the upper left?
That's correct.
So the upper left is an in and an out?
Right, and so the inbound only from Miles, the three bays are drive-through bays, and so that's where the tire servicing will occur. And they're not anticipating a large number of trucks. I think it was, 6 or 8 a day, potentially, so, and not a big traffic generator, but that allows for a pretty good flow through the building for that part of the business. And then, to the west, we have, the overhead doors and a couple of docks, and that's where other truck traffic it'll enter and exit from the north.
Do you have any idea on the number of trucks for the rest?
I mean, 6, 8 is generally for the rest. So for the total, so for the total per day, between 6 and 8 trucks. So each truck has 18 tires. So 18 tires times 8 is almost like 150 tires per day. It's a huge number.
Good. Any other questions before we open it up? At this point, I shall open it up to the public. Does anyone in the audience have anything to say? Seems pretty cut and dried. Any further discussion or motions
Make a motion to approve
based on the
based on the testimony,
and the findings of fact
findings of fact,
and the conditions in the staff report?
the conditions put on it by staff, yes. The whole ball of wax.
Second.
Okay, it's moved by John, seconded by Bob. Any further discussion? At this point, I shall close the public hearing. Please call the roll.
Michelle Sarwas,
Yes.
Bob Bacaro,
Yes.
John Miasso,
Yes.
Julie Kapudakakis,
Yes.
Amy McSwain,
Yes.
Mike Weirden.
Yes. Okay, we shall pass on a positive recommendation to the village board. Good luck with everything.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Have a great 4th of July.
Didn't even sting, did it? Thank you. You two, it's only 10 after. Next item on the agenda is case number 2506, AJB Polish Deli, 879 South Route 59. Are the petitioners present? Please come up to the microphone so that we may swear you in. Please raise your right hand. Mike, you too. Do you solemnly affirm that the evidence you're about to give is only the whole truth? Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Yolanta Zaikowski, and the business 879 Road 59 in Bartlett.
Okay?
Michael Kelly, Kelly. I'm the attorney for Yolanta and the Polish Deli, 118 Bartlett Avenue in Bartlett.
Okay, go ahead and present your case.
So I think you probably all have either seen the deli or gone into it. The Polish deli's been there over 10 years. About 8 years ago, well, starting out 10 years ago when they got there, the sunlight from the west is so brutal on the glass on Brewster Creek. It was basically impossible for them to operate their business. They tried numerous things to block the sun. Finally, they got these very beautiful pictures painted on the windows. They cost approximately $8,000. And they're very, very nice. By those being there, that allowed stop the sun from coming in, and they only have 1,200 square feet. They then could put dry goods against the window, like those pictures right there. And that allowed them to be able to have their little deli and to utilize the whole property. If they didn't have the windows blocked off, they couldn't operate. It would shut the business down because that sun is so brutal. If you've ever been in either Taylor Street, right up the sidewalk there a little bit, you can't hardly stand there when it's coming down in the afternoon. So this has been there for 8 years. Over that course of time, a couple times, various people from the village actually interviewed Yolanta, put it on social media, so it's been very right out there. Everybody knew it was there. It's worked real well. There never was a complaint by anyone in the neighborhood that we're aware of. Instead, there was compliments. So the windows not only just were beautiful and attractive, because that's the stuff they sell, but it allowed her to keep her business going. She still works every day, 10 hours a day. She worked through COVID. This lady, she depends on this business for her livelihood. She's an old friend of mine. I mean, that's what, without this, if the windows are removed or if the pictures come off, that business is going to go down. She won't be able to keep in business there. I know there's requirements for variation. As I said, if she doesn't have it, she's unique. If she doesn't have this, that business is going to close. The windows have been there over 8 years. There's never been any problems. It doesn't, I know sometimes, and I can understand that, there's businesses, the village rightfully worries about what goes on inside the business for the public welfare. These doors are open all the time. When the business is open, they're open all the time. Anyone can go in. It's a deli. That's what it is. It's so filled with stuff, you can barely walk around. So they utilize every square inch of it. It does not have any impact whatsoever on light or air for the adjoining property. There's no special privilege attached with this because they've been in business. So it's not like we're asking for a special privilege to open up something special that's never been there. It's been there. And for whatever reason, I respect the village, for whatever reason they came up with this ordinance, including them, it had never been a problem. So it's sort of like their nice little business fell in this little spot where you have this ordinance, and now it kind of covers this business, tailor-made, to my mind, for variation. We got a letter this afternoon, and I did ask Christy if I could put it in the record. We had to send out 44, as required, 44 letters. A person we don't even know, Maggie Lazinski, said, if I can read it, it's real brief. It says, I, Maggie, a resident of Bartlett, agree for the Polish Deli to display pictures of food in their window. They are a wonderful family, hardworking, and are part of the community, and the quality of food is great, and I've been a customer for the past 10 years. I can't imagine grocery shopping without them at Bartlett. That's unsolicited. We don't even know I don't even know who this person is, and Yolanta doesn't either, but that's very complimentary. And usually if I've done a lot of this type of thing in Streamwood, and I always get letters or complaints or something. I sent out 44. I didn't hear anything. Maybe the village did. I didn't hear any complaint whatsoever. So Yolanta's here if you want to ask her any questions, but we appreciate your consideration.
If you turn in the letter, we can mark that Exhibit D.
Shall do. Thank you, Mr. Worden.
So all that is painted on there and the sun hasn't faded it?
No?
No.
It's the same, am I right, Yolanta?
Yes.
Wow.
And this is a real, it cost $8,000, Michael, or Mr. Worden, sorry. When they put that in, that was like 10 years or 8 or 10 years ago, so this is a nice job.
Did staff get any phone calls or emails on this one?
We got a number of calls, all of which were apathetic about the decision, except one, which was against the approval of the variance.
Oh, okay. Any questions from the board?
Just for my clarification, was the variance and these rules in place before the restaurant opened? And nothing was ever we just never brought it up to them?
Correct.
Okay.
So the signage they never came in for a permit for the signage. We have had other businesses that have come in for, that was when we first found out about it, was when someone came in for a permit. We said we have the maximum percentage that is allowed. They cited other businesses that have had it. This has come up periodically. Dogfather originally had filming many, many years ago. That had to be removed. There have been a few locations where they have complied with our regulations and reduced the amount of, typically it's window film on the windows that they remove. So per our sign ordinance and to be in accordance with the Constitution, we cannot deny signage based on any content. So that's why it's a percentage requirement. So it's not what the signs say or what's on the signage.
Got it.
And I think part of that is probably a safety thing, because we've had other businesses where there was prostitution going on, and we didn't want that shielded. We wanted people to see it, or if it's something where there's cash transactions going on, make sure that it's not being held up. This is unusual in that it's predominantly food and pictures. People aren't trying to read it as they go by. But there are several along there that do have full window displays. You can't even tell it's glass.
So there are a number of businesses in town that are currently going through the code enforcement process. This is the first person that has come in and actually filled out the application to go through the variance. So there are other businesses that have been cited.
I just want to say it's commendable that you are coming through to go through the process and ask for a variance. I like that.
Christie, I have a question. Has there ever been a previous variance for blocking windows in, in a similar manner?
This is the first business that has ever gone through the process. So the board, about 2 years ago, started to look at some of our sign ordinance regulations. During COVID, we were directed not to enforce the window signage percentage because we wanted to help the businesses as much as we could, thinking it would be a temporary solution. When the board looked at it, they decided they still thought it was important that it be reviewed and that they go through the variation process as opposed to us eliminating that regulation.
And are there other remedies that would be acceptable? Blinds to pull down during the afternoon?
If there's no advertisement, it's not considered a sign. So they could have, if they had solid tinting on the windows, if they put a film on that didn't have any sort of advertisement, if they had blinds, the village doesn't regulate that. It's because it's signage, and we have a regulation on that.
Okay, I mean, I don't view this as being unique. There are, all the stores on that side have the same problem. I mean, it's unique that it's a Polish deli, but in my opinion, the basic problem is not unique to your store because the sun and the heat affects all the stores down that strip. You can go across the street, they face east, so they get the morning sun. There's food, that may be somewhat unique, but there's a 7-Eleven on Prospect at the Vaughan that faces west, which has a lot of food. So my concern is setting a precedent. We have an ordinance that's been in effect for years, and now you grant a variance. I just see it opening up an undesirable potential effect. There are other remedies. Had the permit been, pursued 8 years ago, you wouldn't have spent the money because the village would have said, you can't do that. But you could do tinting, you can do blinds. So I think there are other remedies without asking for a variance.
I guess I'll play devil's advocate, only being, I personally have had to live with the business and deal with that sun. And it's just obnoxious. You cannot function when you've got people up front. That being said, if we allow blinds and we allow other things that would block the vision, I'm not sure I see what the harm in having signage. I mean, I realize it's a variance and that we should go through the process for sure. But if the major concern is not that you can't see through the window, but that it's got advertisement on it as opposed to just being blacked out, then I feel like we're doing more harm by not granting a variance, knowing that it's going to cause a long-standing small business in our community financial harm. Unnecessarily, maybe.
I mean, I guess I see the potential for any business in town to have what they deem they need for their sign, and I think it just becomes a nightmare.
How do we handle, for like the past instances where we've had issues with the massage parlors, things like that, where we have other concerns with them not being able to just black out the window? If it's not a signage, can they black out the windows? Or do we have something else that stops them because of the line of business?
Massage establishments have their own set of regulations as part of their license, and one of that is that they cannot have their blinds closed. You have to be able to see inside those facilities at all times.
Okay, so, I mean, I guess that would be my concern, is that I'd want to be able to maintain that protection for the village for that. So I'm not, personally, I guess I'm not opposed to any business having signage covering the window as long as it's not disruptive to the community.
I think Michelle brings up a good point. This is unique. It's not like they have all kinds of changing posters and signs every week because of sales going on. Driving by there, you wouldn't be distracted and perhaps caused to swerve off to the side or something. I think it's aesthetically pleasing. Anyone else before we open it up to the public?
I would just think that, well, you need, the way it is now, you need to block the sun from coming in. You do have food stored over there, and it's a hardship if you, make the windows wide open. It is a hardship. And they do, need the variance to maintain what they have. As you said, the signage is not one bit offensive. It doesn't distract anybody. It doesn't hurt anything, and no one complained about it.
And I think the fact that if they have food does offer a different level of concern, because the added heat, even on that window or in the building, you can have a variance in temperature from rooms that have the sun coming in to not of 7 to 8 degrees, and you have food that can be perishable. I know I'm a frequent client, so the deli with the fresh food is right off of there. It's a small space. You only have so much room to work in, so I do think it's a reasonable request.
I like the idea also for the food business, because I have a big concern with a lot of places that have been in town that are in the bright sunlight when you walk in there. I can name Rebecca's Bakery, walking in there and all the pastries being in, that hot sun directly. And I believe she might have had tinted windows. Maybe the tinting just wasn't strong enough to block that sun. I think in food service, it's very important. I mean, just the perception of it as a customer, I won't go in a place if I see sunlight hitting a bakery case or a food case.
Anyone else? This point, we shall open it up to the public. If you want to speak, please be sure again that you fill out one of those little sheets, and then we don't have to swear you in, and they will call you up. Kim will call you up.
Conrad Wozny.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Conrad Wozny, 67 Chestnut Court, Elgin, Illinois.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to thank the board for having me in front of you today, and I'd like to just start with a little backstory. My family has been attending AJB Deli for the last 10 years as Polish immigrants. This is a staple for the Polish community. Anytime we need to get any goods or have family in town, that's the first place we go. We have family that come in from Atlanta, and it's nice to have a deli and a place for us to get all of our familiar favorites, even when we have family coming out of town. Previously working as a professional window film installer and graphics installer, these applications are significantly helpful to businesses that are not only housing food items, but other perishable items. On the other hand, these are imported items, and so they are just that more delicate. So these applications are, as mentioned before, quite expensive, but they offer much more protection against UV radiation than traditional window films. Ceramic window films offer a good amount of IR rejection, but they do not eliminate all of it, as sunlight still remains to seep through. These opaque coverings will eliminate more than sufficient amount of sunlight to maintain the quality of the produce that is on sale. Another aspect that I like to cover about these is the imagery and the coverage. Yes, it is full coverage, but as mentioned before by previous parties, I don't believe that it is at all distracting nor less desirably looking to the public. Just as a customer and as a part of the community, I think that these should remain as they are.
Okay, thank you.
Very well. Thank you.
Julian.
Hello, my name is Julian Jermula. The address is 29 West 780 Schick Road, Bartlett, Illinois. I would like to thank the board for giving me the opportunity to speak on this issue. I've been a Bartlett resident since 2017, but ever since the AJV store was opened, my family, who are Polish immigrants as well, have been shopping there for over 10 years. And it has been a monumental service to our life as we, cook Polish food every single day. We eat. I mean, I'm sure most of you have had a pączki or had some pierogies as well. And it has been a very important life, a very important store in our lives. And I think just going, after them, specifically going after, this display, especially considering that, it does block UV radiation, which is the main concern, but it's also very aesthetically pleasing and is very nice. I think, especially considering COVID-19 was just 5 years ago and a lot of small businesses are struggling still, I think it's very important to uplift these small businesses instead of going after them and making it a little bit more difficult for them to function because as immigrants, you're coming into this country and you're trying to really have a better life, and that's exactly what these people are trying to do. And I think comparing them to a 7-Eleven, which Mr. Bucaro, is that her name? Mr. Bucaro, comparing them to a 7-Eleven, I think is not a fair comparison because 7-Eleven is a main chain, and it's much bigger, has a lot more money, and they can just, redesign their windows as they please. But of course, this is a very small Polish deli, and redesigning them would put them out of business. So I would like the board to, I would offer the board to consider this application and to approve them to have this film there. Thank you.
Giannis.
Hello, my name is Janusz Chermola. I'm 29780 Schick Road, Bartlett. And I've been shopping to that deli for around 10 years. And very often they have the door wide open. During the summer, they have the entry door wide open. So actually, if I pass by or walking by, I can see what's going on inside. So I don't see there's a problem with that design on the window, which they have also. They don't have too much heat inside of the store, but the store, it's a great food, it's great Polish food, it's European food, and I think there's opportunity to have this type of store in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any further discussion from the board or motions?
If I can just make one comment just to the one person that was up here, I would hate for anybody to feel like our village is coming after a small business, and rather understand that while there should have been a permit in place the first time when they put it up, and there wasn't, and this is a matter of us trying to correct wrong and be fair to everybody so that we don't have businesses that try to do things that are damaging to the community or, whatever. So it's just a matter of trying to get processes in place again. And that's why we have the variance, so we can allow when there's a reasonable, expectation and request and that. But I would hate for anybody to feel like our village is coming after a small business, so to speak, just for the sake of doing it. So that's all.
Anyone else? Any motions?
I'd make a motion to pass on a positive recommendation for, I lost the case number, sorry. 2506, based on the facts that we've been given and the testimonies that we've heard.
Second that.
Moved by Michelle, seconded by John. At this point, we shall close the public hearing. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Michelle Sarwaz,
Yes.
Bob Bacaro,
No.
John Miasso,
Yes.
Julie Kaputakis,
Yes.
Amy McSwain,
Yes.
Mike Reardon.
Yes. Okay, we shall pass on a positive recommendation that is a quorum, right?
Yes, we needed 5 positive votes for
Okay.
it to pass.
So stay in touch with Kim, and it'll be on the board agenda, and that's your last hurdle to go over. Anything with new business, old business?
We might have a case in August. It depends if they make it on the next village board committee agenda.
Okay. Any motions to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by John, seconded by Michelle. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, everybody, for coming.